IGN's Summer of Gaming is presented by the United States Air Force. The call to serve can come from anywhere, from providing and sustaining security to humanitarian assistance in the event of disasters, and the U.S. Air Force is prepared to answer. And in 2023, the Air Force is hiring over 26,000 new airmen and has over 200 career opportunities. To learn more, visit airforce.com.
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch right here on IGN Summer of Gaming. As we wrap things up for the show, we saw a ton of games today. I want to hear from each of us. Find out which game we're personally the most excited for. Okay, our personal picks for game of the show. Max, let's start with you. What was your favorite?
I really like Sandland. Yeah. Like, I'm really excited about this game. It looks like an open world game where you're a demon with a tank, but also, like, you know, to my point, I think it looks smaller, you know. Like, I don't think this isn't going to be a Tears of the Kingdom scale experience. This isn't going to be another Elden Ring. Like, it looks like a fun time to goof around, you know, beat the crap out of some scorpions, drive a hovercraft. You know, it's an aesthetic that I love from a creator I love, but it's a universe I'm not familiar with at all. So, you know, it's something familiar yet unfamiliar at the same time. And yeah, I'm not even sure who's working on it. I should, you know, dig into this a little bit. Another franchise I love is the Yakuza series, which I feel like I kind of like. I love Like a Dragon, with all due respect to Ichiban. He's great, but Kiryu is very near and dear to my heart. He basically retired in Yakuza 6. That was supposed to be his whole swan song. That was it. And then he popped up, made a little guest appearance. And this is the Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, but we're all well aware that his name is Kiryu. Yeah, I don't know. There's too many good games. Like, there's too many games to play. It's bonkers.
I've got some more official information on Sandland. It's being developed by Ilka, which is, I think, they did Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And then they've done support for Dragon Quest and some Ace Combat games as well, because it's being published by Bandai Namco. And the official word says you dive into a desert world where both humans and demons suffer from an extreme water shortage. Play as and watch the Fiend Prince Beelzebub, Sheriff Rao, and Demon Thief set off on an adventure in search of a legendary spring hidden in the desert.
Sure. Not enough water. I'm into it.
Okay, so Sandland, Max's pick. Let's see, John, what was your pick for game of the show?
I think, like, there's the obvious stuff like Mortal Kombat and Spider-Man, I think look amazing, but for me, and this was the same at opening night live at Gamescom, I think it's Lies of P.
Wow.
I thought, and I was genuinely surprised by this trailer in that it kind of expanded on what I thought it was. I thought, like, from the last trailer, I thought it was very clearly aping Bloodborne and trying to fill the Bloodborne gap that we're all feeling. But it seems from today that it's so much more than that. And, like, the design of the creatures looks really fantastic. That thing with the crown at the end, I thought that was sort of like wooden and robotic, and like the way that they're bringing the puppet imagery in and kind of making it these kind of like creepy constructions and stuff. I just think it looks, I mean, look at it. It looks fantastic.
It looks like Bloodborne and it looks like BioShock, but in a way that also looks like its own thing.
Yeah. I am very bad at this kind of game, but
you count yourself as a fan of Souls-like games?
Not really, no. They frustrate me endlessly because I'm too old and my reaction times aren't good enough. But there's something about this I want to, like the design. There's BioShock, and then there's that thing that looks like it's wearing an English police helmet that was crawling up the building. Has what was the game that
We
came
Happy
out?
Few.
We Happy Few aesthetic, right? Where there's lots of things that are a little bit unsettling visually, and like this trailer's just full of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement for this game. I don't think there are that many very popular Souls-like games that aren't made by FromSoft. There's like Neo comes to mind, the Star Wars Jedi games.
Lords of the Fallen, the original incarnation, had done very well 7-8 years ago.
Yeah. Remnant, which is getting a sequel. There was, God, what's the one that was really extremely bleak? Mortal Shell.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm wondering what the scale of this game is going to be. And I think it's totally forgivable if it's not, quite as beefy as your usual FromSoft game.
Is that Monstro too, by the way?
I hope not.
Submarine?
I want a
real
proper monster. If he's a submarine, I'm disappointed. I'm canceling my pre-order for this game that's on Game Pass.
Okay, Ryan, your game of the show.
Well, I already cheated and gave it to you earlier, but it's still Alan Wake 2. Yeah, there was some good stuff today. I mean, I'd give an honorable mention shout out to Warhammer, to Space Marine 2.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Looked like that. I mean, that looked awesome. That just looked like a fun time. But I'm coming back to Alan Wake 2. I mean, it's a game that I had pretty honestly given up on ever getting the long-awaited sequel for after whatever it is, 12, 13 years now. So the fact that it's happening and that it's, you know, Remedy, I think, again, I think they're an underrated developer. They've only, to my opinion, is they have exactly one blemish on their resume in their entire 20-something year existence, and it was they did the not super great, totally forgettable campaign for the very forgettable Xbox game Crossfire X. That Smile Bit?
Smile
Gate?
Smile Gate.
I always confuse those
Bit's
two.
the Sega
Did
thing.
you know, it was their game, they did the multiplayer, and they contracted Remedy to do a single player campaign. I played it, I just didn't think it was that good. But literally everything else that Remedy's ever done has been at worst really good and at best phenomenal. You know, the first two Max Payne games.
Why had you given up on it? Because, like, for me, I've always, and it's weird because it's not now. I've always thought of Alan Wake as firmly an Xbox game because it's you associated with the Xbox 360 so much.
Did Microsoft publish it?
They did.
Yeah.
Okay. And they you know, parted ways as a exclusive partner with Remedy a long time ago, and it just didn't seem like any other publishers wanted to pick the game up and do the sequel. So I just, you know, I didn't think it was ever going to happen because, you know, this is, as you can see, this is not a low budget game. Like, there's a lot going into this. And so that is, and the first one sort of famously didn't sell well at the time, and then Remedy has since said that, like, it kind of was one of those word of mouth things where over time it ended up putting up some good numbers. So just, you know, when you look at the business of the video game industry, which sadly is extraordinarily risk averse, especially in the AAA space, that's why I honestly said I had given up on this ever happening. So when this was announced, I was thrilled, and now that I'm actually seeing it and it's this close, like it looks every bit worth the wait. I mean, it looks fantastic.
On a similar note, I don't think anyone expected a third season of Twin Peaks like 18 years later or whatever, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's I guess it's almost approaching that point where people are nostalgic for the original.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you think we have the success of Control to thank for the fact that we're getting Alan Wake 2?
I mean, did Control even sell that well? Because it was...
It won a lot of awards.
From us, from Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But hey, anything you know, it helped bring Alan Wake's name kind of back into the public consciousness, and for that, I am thankful. And Control, by the way, great game. You should play it if you haven't played it already.
Well, I'm also very excited for Alan Wake 2, but my pick's going to go to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That was a nice, very pleasant surprise of the show. Was not expecting that at all. I like Prince of Persia games in general, and I also very much like Metroidvania games, so seems like definitely right up my alley. It'd be interesting to see. Ubisoft is not known for making Metroidvania games, but I really like the look of it, and from, you know, all the description of how Ubisoft describes the game, it seems like they're hitting all the right notes.
It's the right
for what a
studio
Metroidvania should be.
inside of Ubisoft.
Which one is it?
It's Montpellier.
Oh, okay.
Who did the Rayman Legends stuff.
That's right, yeah. That's right, yeah. This looks really cool. I just hope they sort of like follow the template that something like Metroid Dread established for, you know, a sort of AAA 2D Metroidvania game from a huge publisher. Is this on your radar, Ryan?
It is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just reminded me, like, we were just talking about Alan Wake 2, which Epic is publishing, so we have Epic to thank for funding this thing. And then, now you're talking about this pleasant surprise of Prince of Persia coming back as a Metroidvania. You're just reminding me that we need to fuse those two. We need Epic to let Donald Mustard and Team
Shadow
Chair
Complex.
make Shadow Complex too.
Wow, yes.
That's another one that another Metroidvania that I would like to will into existence after many years.
I think Shadow Complex 2 is designed in like to completion, basically. It just never got made. I think it's all on pieces of paper.
Even worse.
Yeah, at Epic.
To a degree.
How would we grade this show after you know, now that another Summer Game Fest is in the rearview mirror? About 2 hours long, lots and lots of games.
Nobody wants to go first, huh? All right. I mean,
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'll give it a C.
C, okay.
Yeah.
It was decent. It felt like there was quite a lot of filler.
Lots of filler, yes.
The peaks were good, but they weren't like blow it out of the water good.
Sure.
It was solid and competent and above a pass, but like I don't think it was like, oh my god, did you see Summer Game Fest?
I think you can maybe cut about half of it out.
Yeah.
Make it a tight hour, and then you've just got Mortal Kombat and Prince of Persia and Final Fantasy VII and Spider-Man 2 release dates and just the big hits.
A lot of it was very, like it's close. It's a reality. This wasn't a bunch of CG trailers. This wasn't a bunch of just sizzle.
Yeah.
Which I think, Jeff frequently has, some big reveal. I feel like Gamescom was very, very heavily CG late in last year.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see a bunch of stuff be like, here's gameplay, here's release dates. It's all stuff that feels achievable, realistic. That said, I'm kind of with you. We give it, we do it a lot here, but 7 out of 10.
I would say 7.
I mean, it was good and it was positive, and there were very few things that were like, no. Like in fact, the only no for me really was maybe the Twisted Metal thing, which wasn't even a game.
yeah.
So like, so I think generally it was there's a lot of really solid stuff coming.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Keighley gets, for me, a lot of credit because first of all, he's doing this 3 times a year.
Yeah.
3 times, this, opening night live at Gamescom and the Game Awards. So, and I've helped work on smaller versions of this kind of thing at IGN before, and it's so much work to put it together, and just convincing developers and publishers to partner with you and trust you to show off their thing. And Jeff's trying to, he doesn't want to make it too top heavy where it's just Mortal Kombat and Final Fantasy and only the AAA highest caliber stuff. You got to have a nice mix and represent the entire industry. But yeah, inevitably, I think it's that tough line to walk where I agree. I mean, we could have had 30 minutes trimmed off of this and it would have been a much tighter show for the viewer. But again, I recognize and respect Jeff for trying to just showcase as much of the industry and give as many games, both big and small,
And
the chance to shine as they
where they'd all backed away from the traditional event, right?
Yeah.
So it was sort of I would assume that it was doubly challenging because most of the industry had said, look, we don't want to do E3.
Right.
I think the biggest takeaway, the most important thing to keep in mind is that it is illegal to slaughter and eat the Pokemon with guns.